Now, who is ready for dessert? Say aye.
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 Okay, now let's get cooking. Now, in a world full of trends, sometimes only the classics will do. Have you ever attempted to make a classic apple pie with a beautiful lattice pattern? Well, join our cook-along today as Chef Chart takes us through the steps, and we'll be serving it with the timeless taste of classic custard.
Yep.
Chef Dumi, I just want you to just open up, show us what we're about to indulge in.
Basically, Palisa, this is what we're all about. This is what we're trying to make. This beauty over here of an apple pie with a lattice pattern on the top. It's not complete because it needs some Clover classic custard on top of it. And Bale, this is it here. This is all you need, all the dessert you'll ever need in your life in one plate.
Now, what I also love about Clover Classic Custard, Chef Chart, is that Clover Classic Custard is so versatile to use, and it is so delicious as well on its own. But today we're pairing it with this apple pie that we've spoken about. So what are the steps that we need?
So we've lined our pastry case here that we've got. So that's going to be our base. And then Tumi is making a wonderful filling to go in here with apples. So you can imagine all those wonderful flavors. We're not going to blind bake this at all because we need to make sure the lattice sticks on top.
Now, when we do speak about lattice, I had to say lattice, lactis. What exactly are we referring to?
So lattice is where it is basically an open weave or an open plait, in essence, as a whole surface. Where you think of things like start talking about like a basket weave, that's when it's very tight, close together, all right? But people just generally talk about sort of an open or a closed lattice. Now, we're going to go through and I'll show you at what stage you can make it a lot wider or a lot closer. Now, Tumi's going to be putting in raw apple here. So we're actually wanting to have open pockets between the lattice so the steam can actually escape, which is very important.
So essentially what we're talking about is just that crisscross weave design, but not one that is completely closed and locked, one that is a little bit open, so we're able to still see that beautiful filling on the inside. Now, I've never tried to make lattice.
All right, well, you want to see that wonderful bit of filling and you want to sort of see little pockets and it sort of oozes into the pastry very slightly. So taking our puff pastry and we're going to just dust some flour and then roll it out just ever so slightly so we don't get a complete big rise with it either. And what you want to do is make sure it is wider or longer than your actual base. Very important. Now, what I've got is a bottom of a baking tray. You could use a plate. You could use a square baking tray. It doesn't have to be round, but I'm just going to make it for ease. Similar sort of size, so I can do the lattice on top here because I've got a multi-million-dollar tip for you just to help you along.
How?
So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a pizza roller and just cut strips. So this is going to be our little pieces to create our wonderful weave as we go. So again, working, as I said earlier on, like a conveyor belt, doing all the strips now.
So I suppose, Chef, if you don't have a pizza cutter, you can just use a knife?
Just use a knife, absolutely. So what we need to do is number all of them. So you've got to imagine everything in your mind there. So we've got strip 1, strip 2, strip 3, strip 4, and we'll probably get a 5th strip on the side. Okay, like that. Okay. So you can just sort of work this out here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we need to start making sure we know which are odd and our even numbers, right? Okay, so we're going to be taking let's start with our odd numbers. Number 1, number 3, and number 5. We peeled back.
Okay.
All right, then we're going to take a strip and we're going to do our sort of horizontal ones to us, and we're going to place that down like that onto our edge of our baking dish.
So
correct?
Essentially that baking dish is just acting as the top of the pie.
Correct. You can do it on the top of the pie here, but what happens, it becomes very sticky. With all your filling and you've got moisture, and if it gets too hot, and I'm going to come to that just now if it does get too hot. So you're going to start then peeling this back, all right? And now you're going to go and do your odd numbers. So 2, you're going to pull right the way back, and 4 all the way back.
Okay.
And then you're going to take your next piece to go your horizontal, and this will be gauged as what you sort of how big or wide you want your lattice to be. Then you're going to pop those pieces back, so 2 goes back, 4 goes back, and now you can see them going like this and starting to go like that. All right? Then back to what were we doing now?
Odds.
Odds. So back with 1,
3, 5.
Okay. Horizontal piece going across. Make sure it's the same equidistance across there, and then you're going to fold that
1, 3,
back.
and 5.
Right, and then we're going to do the next one. Back to
Evens.
2 and 4.
Okay, so essentially this is not a mathematical lesson, this is a cooking masterclass, and it is a cook-along. This is essentially just to create beautiful patterns when it comes to your pies. We have created our savory, now we are creating our sweets, and this is essentially what makes it a little different, makes it a little bit more special.
Absolutely. I mean, all this love that goes into it. I mean, you got all this love of spices all being fused together, and then, I mean, this is the artistry. Now then you've got to remember what we're going to go back to is 1, 3, and 5 for our last little strip, and pop that back on, and then taking that and going across. Now, if you were to do this on your pie, it could end up being a little bit sticky and could be a bit wet and stuff. But now this here, if this is hot in your kitchen or it's all getting sticky and out of control, take this and pop it into the freezer.
Okay.
Freeze it so it's really firm.
Yeah.
And then actually what you can do, it actually just slides off so much easier.
I think I would do
All right.
that because knowing me, the one person to mess up in the kitchen, it would be me. So I would definitely use that tip. I would use that trick. Pop it into the freezer, let it firm up. So then by the time you need to put it on top of your pie, it's easy. You just slide it all the way out. But now you are making sure that that round shape is also there.
Yeah, so what happens, you're going to see I'm going to start picking this up just now, and I don't want to sort of have too many sort of stragglers. Just, again, clean up as I go. So I've got my sort of, in essence, the shape that's ready to go there. And Tumi, how are we busy with our filling? What have we got in there and what's happening?
Yes, so we've got the apples here, and I just wanted to also show a trick if you want to get the core out. If you don't have a corer for your apples or your pears, this is what you can do. Peel the outside and then gauge with the center over there, and then you can actually cut the edges out. This way you make sure you are getting rid of the core, but you've still got the rest of your apple and you're not wasting any apple pieces there. And then you can do with the rest of the apple however you want, you know, however you want to cut it up, however you want to slice it up. We can keep keeping it nice and chunky here. And into those apples that you're going to give me as well, Palisa, we've got some spices, some nutmeg, cinnamon, we've got vanilla essence, flour, and some brown sugar. And like previously, people would want to bake the filling. We're not baking it because it's going to get baked nicely with the rest of the pie in the oven, right, Chef?
You know, there are recipes that say, you know, cook the apples or cook them half because you're going to put them back into here and you're going to need to cook them, you know, that much more. So you're going to end up with like a big mushy mess. You still want that structure. You still want that bite from the apple. Yeah. So you don't want to overcook your apples. All right, so now what we're going to do is take our pastry brush and egg wash all around the outside of the pastry. Okay, so just keep brushing that as you go. All right, so really be liberal with this here because this is the glue that's going to hold the lattice on and keep it together. All right, so there we go, very gently with that. And now the moment. Are you ready?
I'm stressed.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. Okay, how about I help you? Can I hold the mold and then I don't know if you can try...
Well, we can try and do it together. We can work there. So, well, I suppose that is one way that you can actually go and do it.
I'll just put it upside down and hope for the best.
Is that the way you want to do it?
No, I don't know.
So basically what you do, if that's frozen, it's great because it can just sort of slide straight onto there and then you can manipulate it on like that there. Or what you can do in here is you're just going to start pushing it on like that. So you're going to work on that half there. Okay, and then as we go, we're going to just sort of shake it ever so slightly if it's going to come away. Was it stuck?
But then I suppose here's where your little tin...
Let's just do what you said. Do you know what? I'm going to listen to you today. Do you know that?
Flip it around.
Because I'm confident enough to do the flipping over there.
One.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Oh, that's going to go there.
Tumi, are you ready?
Okay, so we're just going to go straight onto like that.
Boom.
Danzo for Dazo.
That picks up like that there.
Instagram ready, Pale.
Yeah.
It's super simple. Then you just straighten out your little pieces here as Chef is doing. I mean, I love this.
There you go.
It worked.
Oh, you're like very nervous thinking, oh no, don't go down this road, don't go down this road.
I started sweating.
And then just take in your, your knife or whatever, and you can just basically trim that excess just to neaten everything up as you go around the outside. Okay. But just making sure you've actually nipped it in. It's really important to hold it together because remember it is puff pastry and you don't want to sort of run away either. So just going around there very carefully, just nipping that. And a bit of teamwork also does help as well.
Yeah.
Clearing that up. And then if you want that extra little bit of golden colour, taking your egg wash for one final little brush up and down the lattice like this. Remember this will also prevent it very slightly from puffing up too much as well. But again, so you don't want this to completely cover your base there. And that's what you got left.
Chef, I want you to hand the spoon over to Dumi. I want Dumi just to dive in. We've
Girl,
got
I'm
our
ready.
pie, the apple pie
She's
with
great. Look, it's organised.
with the Clover classic custard. Dumi, add more custard. Add more custard. Come on.
Come on, add some more custard. There we go. Absolutely.
There we go, Palisa. More custard.
And let us know, essentially, how that pairing is right now. The apple, the sweetness of the apple, that cinnamon, the sugar, and our classic Clover custard.
Exactly, Palisa. It is not complete without the custard because it brings that creaminess to this dish that's so nice and fruity, and those spices just take it to a whole other level.
Well, whilst you're enjoying another one of those bakes that will never go out of style, for young or old. To get this recipe, head over to afternoonexpress.co.za.
So, we've had classic fashion from Timby, classic cars, thanks Chad, and we've seen classic hairstyles. And you, Michael? Classic.
A classic range from Clover. Timeless taste.
Made with love by Clover.
Dumi, I think at this stage I'm a master egg poacher, but now you're going to be teaching me how to poach some pears.
Yes, Palisa. We're keeping it still on the fruity side. We've made some apple pie. Now we're going to be making some poached pears in some phyllo pastry, Palisa. Delicious.
Chef, you've promised us all types of pastries. Now it's time to dive into the phyllo.
Absolutely is indeed. And let's put lots of beautiful thin pastry layers together.
I'm looking forward to it.